morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Can you talk about your relationship with Coach Steve? Of course, you should have made a World Cup together, and how that brings to the game against
Steve Trundolo.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain, I don't know if brotherhood's the right word, but the American coaches that have kind of been around and shared the field together as players, whether it's Pat Noonan or Pablo or Steve. I think there's there's a certain respect and admiration for kind of each other, and that we're all kind of in this, doing this journey and being head coaches in this league. Josh Wolf's another one. Greg Vanny. So we all kind of played together and shared that experience on the field. And it's a special thing to be on the national team or have some share the field in a club way. So again, just a lot of respect for him as a human, first and foremost, a teammate, and what he's been able to accomplish at LAFC. It's been amazing. The wins and the results kind of speak for themselves, but what they've been able to build there culturally and a fan base, and also the way they play is electric, and it's just a great franchise for this league, and he's been a big part of it.
Arturo was describing when you got hired here how you probably had meetings with all the players, but his Zoom meeting with you where you kind of described your vision. Just what was your pitch, if you had one, specifically as to him and how he was going to fit and how you wanted to play?
I don't remember too much about the pitch, but I can imagine it was about him coming here and being a big part of this project over the next couple of years, and not just this year. Someone that can help me navigate the locker room and the pulse and help build the culture that I was hoping to build here. It's a small world, soccer, so I knew Artur from playing coaching against him. I did some research on him before. Obviously we signed him, and I understood what type of glue guy he is for the locker room. Speaks a few different languages, and he's selfless, and he's very, very talented. So that's a nice kind of trio to have when you're a coach and you're looking for players to add in it. So I hope it was a good. He came, right? So I guess it was an okay pitch.
Yesterday we talked to Pat and Ted, and they mentioned that the players really believe in you and how this culture has changed since you've gotten here. How do you feel that you've been able to cultivate these relationships and just kind of win over this team?
I don't know. I try to be as authentic as possible to these guys and shoot them straight and start on a human level and try to put them in positions to succeed individually, and then usually that can help us collectively and get results. But things have gone our way. There's still a honeymoon. I'm still on the honeymoon here, and we've gotten a lot of results. Things have gone our way. So there'll be tough times ahead over the next few years, and I'll be tested. But this year, again, there's a lot of freshness. I'm fresh. My speeches are still working. They're not totally sick of me yet. Give me time. It's been. I've said this a few times now. This has been a very, very enjoyable year for me, and I don't say that lightly. I've been through a lot of good teams and great relationships with players and staffs, but this has exceeded my expectations of what this year was going to be like, on the field, but even more importantly off the field, and the culture I think that we've been able to kind of collectively cultivate. This is not me, this is everybody. These are getting a few players right that are our tours of the world, the Bossies, the Hectors. The coach gets too much credit and too much blame in the world of sports. So we rely on so many other little pieces to this thing to make it work. And then you throw in a little luck, and you have a season like we have right now.
To follow up on that, Ben, because this team collectively hasn't won big like this, Western Conference Finals, I guess 2012 was the last time, but those veteran players you just mentioned, they have, Ardner's won a championship.
That's right.
Frango won one last year. How important is that right now in a match like Saturday night?
Yeah, it's so important, and you see it in the Miami game in the Open Cup final. You see it in the semifinals against Salt Lake leading into that. Some of the knockout competitions in the Leagues Cup. The bigger the game is, this team has the players that can step up in those moments and even play better. And we're going to need that. And we're going to need the Francos and the Arturs and certainly Hector and these guys to be at the best they can be if we're going to get by LAFC. But that was by design too. Asher and Pat instead have done a good job of really preaching that, bringing winners in here to help us build, a winning culture. It's, that's the easy way to do it, isn't it? You go find some guys that have been through it and highly competitive and know what it's like and are highly talented. And you pop them in and put them in a position to have success.
Ben, what's it been like with the success you guys have had, just to see the buzz back in the city? You saw it the other night with that great atmosphere. Yeah. There were some down years, but that buzz is back in the city now. Few of you are new faces right now, and that's a good thing. That's what we want, and that's what this part of this kind of blank canvas that we talk about of restarting or re-energizing this is about wins. It's about playing in the right way, putting on a product that resonates with Houston and our fans and kind of the city, but also eyeballs and getting you guys out and getting more news coverage and more people in the stands and getting some old fans that got disgruntled and getting them back in and saying this is a new start for us. It's all part of it, and so I'm enjoying it. Again, not necessarily in a selfish way, more just like this was part of what Pat and Asher and Ted and myself talked about. Is trying to, first it starts with winning and winning in the right way. And that kind of lends you to have some success in other areas. And that's exposure, being relevant again, and probably helps on the business side too.
LAFC likes to attack in transition. How do you feel you guys have defended in transition this year?
We've had a lot, the better teams in this league, they have attackers that have juice, they can run by you. They have higher quality in receiving balls in transition and getting out of trouble, and then starting attacks with wingers that have pace and quality. This is as good as they come. Vela, again in transition, his ability to hold the ball up, find pockets, and wiggle out of trouble to now deal with Bouanga, who's one of the best players this league's ever seen. Oliveras on the other side, who's really come into their team and I think changed them for the better. So we'll have to be super dialed in as we have been for the last month. And some of these teams that just are killers in transition. Salt Lake, even the last game of the season, Portland, one of the best transition teams. The way Salt Lake played us. A little bit more direct, but that was always, going to be a critical part of that game. And Kansas City is the same thing. So we're seeing that on a weekly basis in this league, and how good, particularly the wingers are, and the attacking 3 or 4. So it'll be no different. However, there are little, differences between a Bouanga and a Saloui, or Russell and Oliveira. So they have some qualities that we got to make sure we understand what they are and how they have success. But the year Bouanga's had is pretty remarkable. And he's relentless, real speed. The goal against Seattle sums him up. He's faster than you think, and he's doesn't miss many. So we'll have to be super dialed in as we attack and where he's at, and make a few great plays like we did the other night. Some blocks, and Steve's gonna have to make a save or two.
It's just kind of playoffs, what the playoffs are about.
Does that also put some more pressure on your midfield though, or is it mostly still on kind of the outside backs?
No, they're everywhere. And whether it's the repress from our attack and making sure they don't have time to now find the next line, the midfield dealing with the next line, the midfield coming back in the transition to help some of these 1v1 situations, and then the back line. It's all connected. On both sides of the ball, that connectivity is going to be critical to having success away at LA.
And you say that you're still on a honeymoon. Honeymoons are supposed to be relaxing. You've barely been here a year. I mean, from the Zoom meetings to recruit players to the Open Cup run. Like, I know you're not taking credit for this person, but I wonder, is this like the most gratifying marathon ever? Like, what has this been like for you?
It's been. I keep saying the word fun. I've used it so many times. I know it's not really, but that's what it's been. It's been, we've had a lot of joy, and so yes, there's a lot to it, and the games keep coming, and there's a lot of heavy games and some sleepless nights on just the nature of being a leader. But the fact that we've already been able to host a trophy, or hoist a trophy, and then get into the postseason, and then get the right seed, a higher seed, and have 3 playoff games this year at home for our fans, and to win them all, and to have just great moments throughout the year. It's been fun, and these guys have enjoyed it on and off the field. They play with this joy that I think it really resonates with our fans. The amount of times fans are coming up to me saying, okay, yeah, you won, but the way you're winning is so beautiful, and it's such a fun experience for them and their family to come out. This is what it's about for me, and that's what makes me happy.
Before the KC match, you showed the guys the video of that 2012 playoff game against the Dynamo. What's going to be like your hype up clip for this one?
Oh, I don't have any old LAFC. I don't want to show the one that we went there and won. We were under it quite a bit. We dodged a few bullets away this year, but it was a great result. Nothing. It was more just to kind of show Aureli and Colin, our assistant coach, get beat by Houston. So that was kind of and so the guys could make fun of him a little bit.
Sorry, piggybacking off of that, yesterday I spoke to one of the executives of the team, Jeff. He came over from the Astros, and he was saying that he showed his staff championship ring from when the Astros won in 22 and in 2017. He mentioned he'd be happy to share with you guys. It's up to you and Pat and everything.
Yeah, no, keep the rings away. Keep the rings away. You got to earn them. And no, I don't think this team needs anything extra right now. I think they understand the importance of this moment. I think they're loose. They understand we're the underdog, so that's not always a terrible place to be in when you're going into a tough environment like LA against the champs. So I don't have a weight of saying, okay, I need this type of speech, or we got to pull this type of training out. It's business as usual for us, and that's how it's been for every game this year, including the ones that were quote unquote more important. They just and reading their body language, I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me either, because sometimes it's been tense and they've done well. Sometimes they've been loose and we've played really well. So it's a tough group to read in that way. So we'll just prepare them as best we can, per usual, on LA, and give them some ideas on how we can hurt them. Give them some ideas on how they're going to try to hurt us, and how to kind of stop that, and keep it as simple as possible, and let them do their thing on game day.
I think we have a couple on Zoom. Sean, go ahead.
All of a sudden, you're with the new one having great success. Okay, we'll credit the GM, the technical director, not you. But how does it feel to go from such a change? I mean, you're entrenched. Now you're back in and you're in the semis.
What was the first part of that? I want to make sure, we missed you on the first part.
Probably that you went from being the second most tenured coach with the team to now new team and having terrific success.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people ask me about kind of the similarities in, kind of DC United, and it's so different. The projects are so different. One, I was there for a long time, and the way we did things was much different than here. And this is, again, that was more sustaining, and this is about building a new project. And that has, given, I think, a new energy for me as a coach and as a leader. I also stepped away at the right time, or got fired at the right time. So it was all a blur. But it was a necessary thing for me to kind of step away from the game, and I've been very public about this. I needed to get away from coaching and needed a break. So my energy's high, and the project itself is so exciting to me, and because it's so new and so fresh. I got people around me that I trust in both my staff and, again, my relationship with Pat and Asher, and an owner that is, again, very, very supportive. So that part has been great. And yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, I wasn't going near anywhere as to why you separated from the team, but.
You didn't want to get into why I was fired?
No, I didn't want to go into the term that caused the separation. You did, so I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Dylan, go ahead.
Hey Ben, kind of a two-parter. First, you mentioned before about Bawanga and being one of the best players the league has had. You've been around this league from the very beginning. What if you can elaborate maybe a little bit on what makes him such a special player? And obviously, you've also got a special one on your side in Hector. In these kind of big games, and a guy like that who's played in World Cups and massive fixtures, what is it maybe about his makeup that you think would set him up well for this kind of match?
Well, they're very, very different players. One's more of a passer, and one just wants to score goals. And he is, when we talk about Bawanga, he's got the physical attributes that are tough to stop, and he's got the quality in and around goal, and he's relentless in what he wants to do, and that's get on the scoreboard. So he's got a lot of great qualities. It's good smell in the box for where it's going to arrive, but he also has 1v1 ability, and he's very dangerous in transition on just pure speed, running off the ball. So that's a tough guy to stop. But so is Hector in that, but very, very different profiles. Hector's, his lower line playmaking ability for us to move the ball forward and find our dangerous guys in the kind of in our attacking half is, I think he's the best in the league. I think he's the best, central midfield playmaker that the league has right now. He's also able to not only advance the ball, but also he can come into the attack, and he's got quality to score and has final product with the 17, 18 assists, whatever he has at this point. That's a lot of final product. And he's just been a joy to coach. He pulls the strings for us. That's not something we hide from. He's a vital piece to how we play in both sides of the ball.
All right, last one. We'll wrap up with Josh. Josh, go ahead.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for the time. Josh Gross with the LA Daily News. Wondering the version of LAFC that you saw in June in those back-to-back matches. Do you see any resemblance to this team that you're playing on Saturday?
I wish. It's what it is. I think it was 100 degrees here or something like that, and I didn't think they wanted a lot to do with the game. And away, we hung on for dear life a little bit.
You know, it was a different team. You know, I think we mixed up the lineup. There was a lot of games, and we were a hair cynical in that game as far as, you know, mostly it was transition stuff to hurt them. But it was a gritty performance. I remember that. And they were, you know, they showed their quality in the attack. But LA in the playoffs is different. They tend to, they just turn it up. And that's what they've been able to do for, you know, the last few seasons. They just, they're a different animal than they are in their, at least this year in the regular season from our experience of seeing them. So we're not spending too much time on the film against us in the regular season. It's more about the games recently, and in particular the playoff games that they have played at a really high level. They've also changed a few things tactically and some personnel. So that part is something isn't really relevant to those games, which seems like a year and a half ago, by the way.
Yeah, if I could get one more, please. When you look at them and their ability to win, they seem to have more ways to win than just the high pressing, transition, run it. They can play in a lower block. They can slow things down. When you face a team that has multiple ways of winning and they've been so successful defensively, the shutouts in the last two, you know, do you sort of try to pinpoint where you think you're most effective against them and try and dictate to them what they do, or do you play and sort of respond to what they're giving to you?
It's throughout the game. It's going to be both. We'll have a plan to go in and try to go after some of their weaknesses. There aren't a lot, but again, we also have to be prepared for their strengths. And again, you hit it. And the transition's scary. They can build. They've obviously got a good midfield. They've got outside backs that join, center backs that can pass short and long. So you're right that they go about winning games in different ways. Oh, by the way, they also can, they're a handful on set pieces. So there's, you know, you could go crazy and try to fix every area and give them all the information, but players can only handle so much information. So you give them some key parts of that. You trust them to manage the moments, and you know, we also have to be true to ourselves and play in the way that that has gotten us to this point. So it's there's no magic bullet. You know, we're going to have to be as close to perfect as possible, but we're capable of playing a very good game away, and I expect this to be a fun match.
Thank you.
All right, we'll wrap it up there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll have Hector up about now.